My name is Bert, and this is the Still Life Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Still Life Podcast. As always, I'm Bert. I'll be your host. Today was a tough day. Really, the last week, I've had struggles. Towards the end of last week, really for about 4 days or so, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, and the anxiety would peak and then it would subside, and then it was like I'd get hit with a wave of depression. So it was back and forth, anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression. Led me to not get out of the house a whole lot, kind of antisocial. And it really reached a peak on Monday when I had an event and I opted just not to go. I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't really want to get up off the couch. However, I woke up Tuesday morning and felt great. Felt really good. Got up, went and got coffee, came back home, worked out. It was a good day. And, it was a struggle getting through those days, and then all of a sudden I was fine. Trying to learn how to make the bad days not so bad has been a struggle, trying to find that balance of handling the anxiety, handling the depression, and being able to function like a relatively normal human being, or I guess function at a relatively quote-unquote normal level. Something I admittedly am not very good at. So, I'm learning as I go. I've got anxiety meds. They're rapid onset, which is nice. I can take them, and then about 30 minutes later, I start to feel the effects, and that does help some. It doesn't completely alleviate the issues with the anxiety, but it does certainly lessen the effects. And then there's today. Today was a day I didn't look forward to because I went to a funeral today. A friend of mine and his wife lost their 22-year-old daughter earlier in September, and they had the funeral today. She was cremated, so they were able to kind of take their time with it a little bit. It was hard. Admittedly, I don't like funerals, and I struggle to attend funerals since my deployment. And so this was not something I was looking forward to, but obviously I wanted to be there to support my friend and his wife as they go through this incredibly tragic loss. Regardless of the age, I could never imagine burying my children. I just can't fathom one of my children not outliving me. And for my friend, this was their only child. I'm 22 years old. You're an adult legally, but you're still a kid. I mean, I don't really consider myself becoming a real adult until I was into my 30s. In my 20s, I was really just beginning to understand and know what I didn't know. And that's where I really dug in and just began to learn as much as I possibly could. I mean, despite the fact that at 22 years of age, I had already been in the military at that point for 3 years and had already been on a combat deployment. But still, I was a kid in nearly every sense of the word. And so I can't imagine, having my own life cut short, at 22 years of age. But especially, again, losing one of my own children at that age. Because there's just, we can complain and bitch and moan and gripe about all the bad stuff in the world, but having been on this planet now for nearly 4 decades, I am fortunate to have witnessed and experienced what I have witnessed and experienced. And, we always wish health and long life on our children so that they can live full, meaningful, impactful lives. Now, that's not to say that at 22 she didn't have an impact, because she had a significant impact on a ton of lives, not just her family, but friends. And, she would do a couple songs with the band that we were in. She would come in and do vocals for a couple songs, and so it was always a treat because she had a great voice, and it was just a lot of fun to work with. Bubbly personality, and just a great all-around human being. My friends, her parents, are two of the best people that I know. They are kind and giving and thoughtful and just pure, wholesome people, and I love them dearly. And so my heart really hurts for their loss. Unfortunately, life is not fair. And, they certainly don't deserve to have to suffer this tremendous loss. I don't know of anyone that does deserve that. To lose a child at any age for any reason. No one deserves that. And, just the fact that they were and they are just some of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life, it makes that sting just a little bit more. I continue to support them and do however I can to help ease their burden and their suffering and their sorrow and sadness. I'll do whatever I can to help, because I hate to see anyone hurting, but especially them. So today for me was a lot about reflection, in my life, in the lives of my children. And, it's unfortunate circumstances like these that cause us sometimes to dig deep and to really reevaluate how we are living our own lives, how we treat other people, how we raise our children, and how we want our children to grow up. And, I have my struggles as a parent. Every parent has their struggles. I can tend to be the most patient person in the world, and when I consider a task to be, I can tend to get frustrated. And, it's hard to put myself in their position and pause and take a step back and say, well, just because it's easy for me and I understand it and I know how to do it doesn't mean it's easy for a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old. I have significantly more life experience. And it's always one of those things I think about after the fact. So I'm learning to think about it in the moment and prepare myself, calm myself down, take a deep breath, take a step back, hit the pause button, and understand that they're really just kids. They don't know any different, And one of the other pieces that, is also kind of hard to remember sometimes is that, good and bad is relative to each individual's experiences throughout the duration of their life. So, a bad day for a child could be their worst day ever. A bad day to us is just a bad day normally. A good day for us is a good day. But for a child, it could be the best day they've ever had, even though it was fairly routine and by our accounts, a normal day. We have to remember that experience is relative. Feelings are relative. All of these things aren't just one size fits all, one emotion fits all, one experience fits all. Because you can put 100 people in the same experience, and every single one of them is going to be affected and react to that experience differently. Whether it's some subtle way or, something that's very obvious and clear. So today I leave you with this. Take a step back. Hit the pause button. Figure out where you are, where you want to be, and what you can do better to be a better friend, a better neighbor, a better person, a better parent. Whatever it is, remember to give yourself some grace, but also be quick to extend it to others. And with that, I'd like to thank you for joining me today on the Still Life Podcast. As always, for questions, comments, topic ideas, suggestions, you can reach us, the Still Life Podcast, at gmail.com. Don't forget to like and follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the Still Life Podcast, Twitter at Still Life Pod. Thanks again for joining me today on the Still Life Podcast. We'll talk again soon.